I've been struggling with this condition, specifically acne, for more than 15 years. You need to wash your face properly, for example, with tar soap. I've already completed a second course of systemic retinoids. You have pimples because you use makeup every day. I've been on various diets. I didn't eat dairy and I didn't eat gluten. And unfortunately, it didn't help. And this is such a pain for me. You just can't imagine. Right now, I really want to show you a photo of how I looked during the worst moments, when my acne was at its most severe. I had these huge pus-filled pimples. But believe me, I just don't have any photos like that, because taking a picture at a moment like that is the last thing you want to do, honestly. And in this photo, I'm 32 years old. And here, things aren't as bad as they used to be, but this is that moment, when I had already turned to a dermatologist and asked to start a course of systemic retinoids. This is how I looked after the first course. This is my remission, and my face has never been this clear before. This is what my face looked like when the relapse happened. And this is what my face looks like now. And I'm really glad that I finally found at least some way to deal with this problem, because I don't want to live with this anymore. In general, it's most often people with oily skin who suffer from this, and such skin is very bad at shedding dead skin cells on its own. So just imagine, here is your pore. The dead skin cells that were supposed to fall off on their own and disappear somewhere instead end up clogging the pore. The sebaceous gland keeps working and the sebum starts to build up there. And then a certain bacterium comes into play. I'll read out its name for you now, because I can't pronounce it myself. Propionibacterium acnes. The body realizes that something is wrong and starts to react to all of this, leading to inflammation. And these comedones don't always come out to the surface. Very often they just sit somewhere inside. And no kind of mechanical cleaning, which was recommended to me by very knowledgeable cosmetologists, will help. It will only make the situation worse. I was also advised to get a tan in a tanning bed. By the way, when I was about 20, my mom was really worried because I always had pimples. UV rays penetrate the skin and actually make things worse later on. At first, it seems like everything dries up, especially if there's some inflammation, but then it comes back even stronger. I was also advised to get pregnant as soon as possible, to have a child. That's another one of those things. I think a lot of people with acne have heard this advice. Supposedly, it helps the body rejuvenate. You know, I gave birth 7 years ago, and what happened? Nothing. Yes, of course, you can certainly try adjusting your diet first, because if you remove the trigger, it can really help you a lot. As long as you remove that trigger, the inflammation may decrease. But the thing is, if you start eating dairy or gluten again, it will all come back. The same goes for antibiotics. While you're taking them, and for literally a few weeks after, your skin might be clearer, but as soon as you stop, unfortunately, it comes back. And unfortunately, it's impossible to cure acne 100%. What is possible, though, is to achieve a really long remission. At first, it seemed like just some teenage pimples. It seemed like once this puberty phase was over, my skin would clear up and everything would be fine. But years went by, the first wrinkles and gray hairs started to appear, and the acne was still there. I've heard some truly unbelievable advice, not just from people, but even from doctors. I've been to dermatologists, cosmetologists, gynecologists, gastroenterologists, and I think even some other ologists I can't even name. You can't even imagine all the things I've tried. I went to a gastroenterologist, did all the tests, swallowed scopes, they checked for Helicobacter. Do I have it? They found it in me. They prescribed me a course of really strong antibiotics, but my husband also had to take them because you can't just treat one person. This disease is very easily transmitted. It's a bacterium. And supposedly it can also cause acne. So imagine I go to a dermatologist who came highly recommended. She appeared on TV a lot. And she tells me that I need to apply 2 creams. She prescribed me 2 from the pharmacy. Now I realize that this really could have helped me, but she didn't tell me one simple thing, that this medication needs to be used for at least 3 to 4 months. And only after 3 to 4 months can you actually see any results. If you decide to use topical retinoids, it's always a long-term commitment. You'll have to use them almost until menopause. For a very, very long time, consistently. But I used it for a month, didn't see any results at all. So I just gave up on it. Because I've tried so many of these ointments, all sorts of mixtures and masks. Do you know how many times I've tried all sorts of things based on dermatologists and cosmetologists' recommendations? Too many to count. My whole bathroom was filled with all kinds of jars. You believe in any chance, in any little thread of hope that's offered to you. You think this time it has to work. And unfortunately, it didn't help. I don't understand how it happened. Why, after almost 15 years of struggling? Not a single doctor ever told me that there are such medications, medical treatments like Roaccutane. Well, the active ingredient is isotretinoin. So I went to a dermatologist with a specific question. Can I start a course of systemic retinoids? I went and got tested again because with systemic retinoids, you absolutely have to monitor your liver function because it's quite a serious medication. You can't just take it thoughtlessly. They have to select a specific dosage for your weight. And then about every 3 months, you need to get tested again to monitor your liver function. Because it's possible that your body can't handle processing this medication and the dosage needs to be reduced. And the most important contraindication for this medication is pregnancy. Under no circumstances should you get pregnant either during the course or for 5 weeks after finishing it. If you have joint problems, isotretinoin can bring those issues to the surface. Basically, all of your natural lubrication almost completely disappears, including in your joints. And because of this, your joints start to hurt. But the big advantage is that as soon as you finish the course of systemic retinoids, everything goes back to normal. The same goes for your face. Your lips get extremely dry. It feels like they're just going to get sucked inward somewhere. So my lifesaver was lanolin from Medela. I discovered it completely by accident. This balm from Essence, well, actually, it's a tinted balm, moisturizes my lips really well, and I'm wearing it right now. I've learned to put on all my sweaters, like this, kind of hiding. Well, these are just little things you can laugh about. A huge advantage of taking systemic retinoids is that you can wash your hair much less often, because not only does sebum production on your face practically stop, but also on your scalp and hair too. You really can go 2 weeks without washing it for sure. At first I broke out even more, but that's normal. It started coming to the surface, came out, and after about 4 months of taking it, I finally seemed to go into remission. And I finished the remaining course already with clear skin. I'd never had skin like that in my life. I couldn't get enough of it. For the first time in my life, I could calmly look at myself in the mirror. And I'm a makeup artist. You understand how painful that is? When I go to a client, I show up wearing makeup because I'm trying to hide all of this. And they say to me, "You have acne because you use all that makeup every day." But actually, I learned how to do makeup precisely because I had acne. But the thing is, when comedones are so, raised, you can't hide them with any foundation. It's like ice cream in chocolate or ice cream with nuts covered in chocolate. You see, those bumps, they still show through. And then I saw clear skin in the mirror. And I can't even begin to describe how that felt. It was something incredible. And so I lived enjoying my reflection in the mirror for about 2 years. 2 years passed, and suddenly, out of nowhere, just like that, everything came back all at once. Pimples broke out again. A little bit, really just a bit less than before, but again, my whole cheeks, my whole chin, and the most sensitive area. I had it on my cheeks and chin. Sometimes it would break out right here. It hurts, it's inflamed, it's red. And foundation doesn't even stay on inflamed skin, even if you wanted to cover it up. I started looking for the reason. How could this be? I had completed the course. And the first thing I realized was that most likely I hadn't reached the correct cumulative dose. The concept of a cumulative dose essentially occurs when you take the specifically prescribed total amount of milligrams of the medication, calculated precisely according to your individual body weight. And as it eventually turned out for my situation, I actually needed to reach a total of about 12,000 milligrams of this medication over time. But according to my calculations, I only reached about 8,000. And I had a consultation with Dr. Yudin, and during the consultation, she told me that, unfortunately, the statistics show that when you don't reach the full cumulative dose, the rate of relapses is very high. Can you imagine? A person takes systemic retinoids for 9 months, finally gets clear skin, they're promised that everything will be fine, and then suddenly it all comes back again. It's such a blow to yourself, to your personality, to your self-esteem. It's just impossible to put into words. I made the decision to repeat the course. You have to start all over again. And now I'm finishing my second course of systemic retinoids. And I'm just praying that finally I'll go into a long-term remission. Today, I'm coming to you in this video with an almost bare face, hardly any makeup. So I do have some blush on, yes, and a little bit of contour. But the foundation is applied in a very thin, almost invisible layer, just enough to cover up a few veins or extra dark circles. But do you see how clear my skin is right now? No bumps at all. Everything is smooth and my pores are a bit tightened. But that's normal when taking raw Accutane. Later, they'll return a bit more to their normal state. Yes, I already have some wrinkles and my nasolabial fold is showing and there are a few bags under my eyes. And here I have some fine lines and there are wrinkles here too. But I'm 37 years old and that's normal. The most important thing is that I don't have any pimples. Because being a 37-year-old woman with wrinkles and pimples, I don't know, it's just awful. It's so awful it makes you want to cry. I know what that's like. Girls, if you think that there are very few people who suffer from acne and that you're alone, you are definitely not alone. Do you know how many registered cases of acne there are worldwide, approximately? From 65 million to 700. 700 million people. Can you imagine how many that is? That's 1 in every 10 people on our planet. And there's no guarantee that you can only get it during your teenage years. The thing is, acne can suddenly appear when you're 30, 40, or even later. Because maybe you just have a certain set of genes, a predisposition, but for a long time you're in remission and the disease doesn't show itself. And then suddenly something triggers it and you don't know what it could be. Maybe it's your diet. That's not the cause of the disease, I'll repeat. It's possibly a trigger. It could be stress, overexertion in sports, or something else, maybe at work. In general, there are actually a great many reasons. After I finish the second full course of systemic retinoids, I might still use topical retinoids for prevention, just to make sure nothing comes back. I always remove my makeup with this kind of cleansing oil. It cleans pores well. It very gently removes makeup, dissolves it. There are some dermatologists who say you should never use it, that it can actually make things worse. Acne, clogged pores, but imagine you have inflammation and you wanted to go somewhere, to some event. You tried to cover it all up a bit with foundation, and then you take micellar water, put it on a cotton pad and start rubbing everything in. So you end up irritating those inflammations even more, pulling at them, and they get even worse. If you wash everything off thoroughly, first with water and then with a special cleanser, then cleansing oil won't harm you at all. I wash my face very gently with this product, a careful cleansing, very light. Or, as another option, I can recommend this two-phase product from Hamo. It's both a cleanser and a cleansing oil, 2 in 1. As you can see, the bottle is already empty. I used it all myself and was very satisfied. It rinses off with just water, and you don't need to wash your face with anything else afterwards. Also twice a week. Both dermatologists, cosmetologists, and I personally recommend using enzyme powder. It is a fine, concentrated powder that you pour onto the completely dry palm of your hand. Then carefully add just a few small drops of water. It gradually transforms into a rich, creamy foam, and you simply wash your entire face with it. This isn't a cleanser meant to wash off, say, remnants of cleansing oil. Enzyme powder specifically and gently helps remove dead skin cells. It removes dead skin particles. And next, I'll show you my 3 products. This is a 2-phase essence from Dr. Kirkle. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is a tea essence. This is the Real Barrier Extreme Cream Ampoule, and this is a cream from Opalm. The main function of these two products is to deeply moisturize the face and replenish it with lipids that your skin currently barely produces on its own. So this cream helps create an additional protective barrier on the skin's surface. I use it before going outside, for example, especially in winter when it's freezing. And in conclusion, I want to say that acne and your skin are not you as a person. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or that you're somehow different. You are not alone. You definitely need to fight, because constantly hearing unsolicited advice and insults directed at you is very hard. Thank you for listening to my pain. Sorry for my perhaps excessive emotions, but for me, this really is painful. And be sure to share your stories in the comments. Tell us what helped you and what didn't. That will be very valuable and important to me. Well, that's all for today, and see you in new videos. Bye-bye.